You got me down again.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Stand by.
You got me down again.
If you want to finish, then long as you're clear. If clear, hammer down holster. Range is cleared. That's pretty good.
Felt good.
Missed it 2 alpha.
Felt good.
I called out.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys being here. So this is kind of crazy. I went to a local match, I guess 2 weeks ago now, and I won. Like seriously, I won Carry Optics division. And there's some caveats here. Like obviously I'm proud of that performance, and we're going to look at the footage and do a little AAR and analysis of it. But what is also true is that, like, you know, the Carry Optics division wasn't particularly stacked. I'm a B-class shooter, kind of like low-end B-class shooter. And there was an A-class guy there, and then there were some unclassified guys that typically shoot like Steel Challenge and Action Steel that don't have USPSA classifications, but do shoot probably at like you know, a B or a low A level. So there was some competition there, but there wasn't, you know, any, you know, stud M's or GM's in my division. Overall, which is probably a better assessment of where I'm at right now, I finished 14th out of 80, and in 14th place, I shot 76% of like a very good competitive GM who was there. So I think that that is like pretty representative of my skill level right now, shooting about 76% of the really good guys. And so, yeah, I'm really proud of the performance. It's probably the best overall performance I've had. My hit factor was like 5+ throughout the match. I did make 2 errors that are pretty egregious that we'll talk about. But yeah, let's just get into the footage. Let's look at the first stage here. These are going to be presented sequentially. I'll throw my stats for each stage up on the screen. We'll watch it and we'll talk about it.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Stand by. If you are finished, then let's go clear. If clear, hammer down holster.
All right, so stage 5 was my first stage of the day. I finished first in Carry Optics, 12th overall. Hit factor was 5.25, 25 alphas, and a Charlie. Pretty good. Actually, probably the best first stage that I've ever shot at a match. So I still felt like that match pressure, that like tension start to build up, that anxiety start to build up, and just shoot it cold. Got some decent, you know, time over at the safe table and did some draws and, you know, made sure my index and everything felt nice. But still had some of those like first stage jitters. But was able to perform despite that. I would say my movement was pretty damn rigid. I was kind of like, you know, all over the place, really tense. You could see a lot of tension build up throughout the stage. But my hits were really good. Like shooting 25 alphas and a Charlie is solid. I was over confirming the dot just a little bit, as evidenced by like that dot press. My splits were, you know, creeping up into the 3s and the 4s instead of at like the 0.25 where it really should have been with the targets at this range. But overall, not bad. It was an unloaded start, which was kind of interesting. First time I've ever used my magnet on an unloaded start. So there's 2 magazines on the table, draw on the move, grab both those magazines. And I had never really practiced this, but I indexed the magazines such that I picked both of them up at the same time with a single hand, with a finger between the 2 magazines, and then quickly smacked the one on the outside finger down on my magnet on my belt and slammed the other one into the magazine well, racked the slide, and moved over. What I screwed up there, because that's a lot going on. Like that's a lot of, you know, fine motor skills and dexterity required on a cold stage when I'm, you know, have high stress, high pressure. but I could have accomplished those things simultaneously. It should have been like grab the mag and then start stepping left into my first position while I'm stowing the magazine on my belt, smashing the magazine into the to the mag well, racking the gun, and getting into the stage. Overall, pretty satisfied with that performance. Pretty decent little stage. Let's take a look at the next one.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Stand by. If you are finished, unload show clear. If clear, hammer down holster.
All right, this was another pretty good stage for me. I finished first in carry optics. That's 2 of the 3 carry optics stage wins that I had. So this was the second one. I was 11th overall, hit factor 5.41, 27 A's, 5 C's. So the hits were, right about where I need them, and I was moving pretty good. Interesting thing about this stage, I chose to shoot it from right to left rather than from left to right. Everyone else on my squad, for the most part, I'm pretty sure, shot it left to right. I shot it right to left. It's a little weird as a right-handed shooter shooting right to left voluntarily. It's much more comfortable for me to shoot from left to right and to move left to right. Makes reloads a lot more safe. Don't have to worry about the 180 as much. But on this specific stage, starting on the right side allowed me to move forward in that shooting box and take that weird leaning target off the beep, which I preferred. And then it allowed me to like accelerate really quickly.
Daddy, I got the mythic.
You got the mythic.
Let me come show you. Mythic.
Hey, congratulations. Give me knuckles. Nice work, bud. Love you. Okay, sorry. But yeah, starting on the right side of the stage and working the stage from right to left allowed me to take that lean really early in the stage and then retreat into my second shooting position. And I was able to do that like pretty comfortably, but it was kind of an awkward movement. But the big reason I shot it right to left was because the stomp pad that activated the bobbing target in the third position was more easily accessed if you were coming at it from the right side. Whereas if you're coming at it from the left side, you'd have to like button hook around the corner. And I just saw that as like really inefficient. And I thought I could more efficiently just get in there and focus on that entry and arrive to that position such that my right foot was planted in a good shooting position as my left foot stomped the pad and then have the gun up, indexed, and ready to take that bobber on its first presentation. And so that was my plan. Figured that would probably save me like half a second. It worked out really well. Rest of the stage went okay. In the next shooting position, the entry, like I freaking got in there really aggressive, started burning down targets. But like I was working the array from right to left. The last target was like a 5-yard open. And I took it like it was a 15-yard partial, so it was like a really slow transition to get over there. And in reality, I could have freaking teleported my hand over there and just smashed the trigger twice and kept moving. Probably lost a quarter second or half second there. Overall, though, it was a stage win in carry optics, so no complaints. Let's take a look at the next one.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Stand by. If you are finished, unload and show clear. If clear, hammer down holster. Range is clear, 1592.
Unfortunately, stage 7 got thrown out. If there was a bobber at the end of the stage that kind of like briefly presented, maybe it was a max trap, but whatever that mover was in the back left corner of the stage, it was partially visible. And so some people were just like taking a high A box shot rather than hitting the activator. I don't think that was any faster. And it almost seemed like a deliberate stage design choice, but I guess the stage designer didn't want that target to be visible whenever it was at rest. And so they threw out the stage, which is a shame because I did do pretty well. So it was thrown out and the stats here are not from practice score. It's like literally from me pausing the frame and looking at the tablet there at the end of the video. Hit factor 5.78 time, 1592. I think that's what they called out. And then from what I could tell on the practice or on the tablet, it was 16 A's and 4 C's. So pretty good stage. I really liked the way that I started this stage attacking into the corner, that entry and that draw, like on the move as I entered the shooting box, looked really good. And then taking those targets clean, just 1-for-1 on steel, etc., was very nice. Moved over to the left side. The one kind of like area I could have improved on this stage is, yes, I needed to take the like far left array in the second shooting position first. But then as I was working down the lane, I didn't continue movement. Like those were close enough that I could have continued kind of moving slowly and smoothly through there while sending rounds and probably kept the same quality hits. Big transition across the field to the right was good. Some people continued working left to right, which I thought was a bit of a gamble. But I chose to come all the way over to the right side, then work from right to left. And the bad part about that plan is I ended up hitting the activator for the mover last, which means that there is a natural delay between when I hit that activator and when the mover exposed and I can actually shoot it. The alternative would be to like work right to left, skip the first steal and hit the activator, then hit the second steal, then hit the mover. I probably could have done that, but I didn't have as much confidence in my ability to do it. And because that mover is only visible for a second and then it disappears again and it's gone for the rest of the stage, I didn't want to risk it. But stage 7, good stage, a lot of fun. Next one, didn't go so hot.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Stand by. If you're finished, unload and show clear. If clear, hammer down holster. 10-4-4, range is clear.
All right, so this was stage 1. I ended up finishing 8th in carry optics, 32nd overall. Hit factor was 5.17. 8 alphas, 8 charlies, and a no shoot. The no shoot killed me. Had I not nicked a no shoot, obviously that hit factor would go up. The other thing is like, this was not a class fire, but it was definitely a speed shoot. It was a shorter stage. It was a stand and deliver from a surrender position start. I don't drill surrender position starts very much. It didn't slow me down that much, but it did feel a little bit weird and I felt a little bit uncomfortable. And then this is probably supposed to be like a high hit factor of like 9 or 10 or 11 for like really good shooters, but it's all partial. So like you want to burn it down, but there's always the risk of the no shoot. I think I found a decent throttle. I probably could have picked up the pace just a little bit. But even so, I nicked a no shoot. And so that no shoot, it was like it was barely touching the perf of the no shoot. The rest was in the A zone. So I got the no shoot and I got the A. I did not get a mic. But that crushed my hit factor and it crushed my overall performance on this stage. And of course, well, foreshadowing, I do this again in a second. But let's watch the next stage.
Shooter ready?
Ready?
On board. If you finish your load, show clear, hammer down, holster, range is clear, 1195.
1D in the center.
Alpha, Alpha, Charlie, 2 Alpha, Delta, 2 Charlie.
All right, stage 2. This was another pretty decent stage for me. Definitely could have shot it better though. It was a carry optics win, 13th overall, shot a 6.52 hit factor, 13 A's, a C, and a D. I did call the D right there at the end, and I think you guys noticed that. Something that's happening with my shooting is I just like continue to do a lot of dry fire reps and a lot of live fire reps, and I'm really aware of what's happening visually. It's kind of tough to explain, but like I'm able to call my shots better. And I think part of that is just like getting the reps in dry fire, getting the reps in at practice, shooting matches. The other thing is with experience, things are becoming easier. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily getting better. Like I'm clearly getting better, but it doesn't mean I'm inherently like just, it's not because I'm getting better. I'm becoming more visually aware of my shooting because I'm not as stressed out. Whereas in the past, I had a combination of like anxiety because I'm doing something new and competing and it's scary. Pressure from the match because I want to win and I'm putting pressure on myself to perform. And then my fundamental skills were very much in development mode. Like they were okay, but I had to put a lot of mental energy into like grips, sights, trigger, target order, stage plan. When am I doing my reload? Like where am I putting my foot on the entry? Like I was having to exercise like so much cognitive energy towards those things that all the shooting almost was like a blur. And now with the repetitions, those things are becoming almost automated. Clearly like still plenty of room to grow and to get better. But because they're becoming more automatic, I have the patience and the awareness with a lower cognitive load to really pay attention to what's happening, with the sights. And I'm like remaining target focused, but aware of where the red dot is and not so stressed that at the end of the stage, I have no idea what happened. I can really like immediately reflect on it and call stuff like that. It's easy for me to call like a really good A. It's tough for me to know if like an A is like an acceptable Charlie or an A if like it's on the edge. But if it's a D or a Mike, or a no shoot, like I know almost immediately that it happened, and I know when I'm going to need a makeup shot. That is not a skill that I possessed, even just a few months ago. So it's good to see that coming along. This stage was okay. My movement was kind of trash as I moved across, but as far as like my hits and the time and everything else, like clearly it was enough for a carry optics win and an acceptable performance overall. My most disappointing performance of the day is up next.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by. You are finished. Unload and show clear. If clear, hammer down, holster. Range is clear. Time 1027.
All right, calm before the storm. This was our classifier of the day, and it was another speed shoot, and it was another speed shoot that I botched. Getting out of the chair was fine. Loading the gun was fine. I ended up shooting 10 A's, 5 C's, and a mic. Time was 10:27. This was 6th in carry optics, which is crazy. 31st overall, which is probably about right. So the first 4 shots were all ace in that bottom center target, and then transitioned over to the left target, like really trying to like hit the throttle at this point. And one of those rounds just like barely, and I'm talking barely, like millimeters, into the black part of that target. Reload was crap, probably like a C- quality reload. Rest of the shooting was like fine. A's and C's is what it is. And this is one of those too. It's like it's naturally a high hit factor classifier. If you want to do well on it, you've got to shoot aggressively to rack up the points. But mics and no shoots are always unacceptable, especially on a high hit factor stage like this. And so I felt it. And naturally, it's the classifier. That's always how it goes. But even coming off of this one, going to the next stage, I was giving myself a hard time, and I really wanted to hit it hard on the next stage, and that's exactly what I did.
Ready? One bite. If you're finished, unload and show clear. Hammer down, holster. Time 2269.
All right, so stage 4, this was my favorite stage of the day. I finished 2nd in carry optics and 16th overall, so not my best placement, but I do feel like it was the best stage that I executed. Like this was me shooting at my very best. A couple other guys outperformed me, but I feel as though that this was my best stage of the day for a combination of reasons. So 22 A's and 6 C's, so the hits were there. Time was 2269, and my movement was really, really aggressive. So I was happy with like my initial draw and my first engagement from the first shooting position. I loved the movement out of that position, like the really hard lean and just going balls out, like max effort to get into the second shooting position. Gun comes up, hits on that side of the field, looked good. And then the rest of the stage was like reasonably clean. So moved over to the third shooting position, got pretty deep in there, and the throttle control was evident as I like hit the like 10-yard or 7-yard open on entry. Smashed the close open just as fast as I could. And then I hit a reload earlier. So most folks waited until they were done with position 4 to reload. I reloaded before that because I realized if I executed a clean reload on the move right there, I would arrive into position 4 ready to clear the left side of the field and already have a gun that was loaded and ready for me to transition to the next target. That was basically the first target in position 5. And that worked out. And if you didn't do that, you ended up incurring basically a standing reload. Like, yes, you were transitioning across the field, but you also had to reload during that time. And so people took like a quarter second or half second extra to accomplish that. So I saved that time there. I'm happy with that decision. Kind of a risky decision because it's a weird place to reload. I'm moving like, out of bounds, reloading on the move, on into an entry, gun back up and shooting, but it worked out well. The only reason I didn't win this stage is because I had makeups on steel, as is always the case, which is crazy because I think for the rest of the day, I was going 1 for 1 on steel almost all day long. Here, I was like really cranking up the throttle and shooting aggressively. And because of that, like in that position, as I was working right to left across the steel, started off good, had a mic, had to make it up, and then had to do another makeup. And then that kind of screwed me up going into position 5. I lost a little bit of confidence. I was crushing the whole stage and then had a couple makeups there that screwed me up. As I moved into position 5, first target went fine, but I didn't hit the second target hard enough. I could have transitioned harder. I could have smashed the trigger a hell of a lot faster and got that thing knocked out. Overall, guys, I freaking won a match. You know, I won a level 1 USPSA match. I've been shooting competitions for 11 months. So we'll do a year in review next month. So in that 11 months, I've shot 10 or 11 matches. 2 of those were majors. One of those majors was the Florida State Championship. I was on the podium in C class, got bumped up to B class. And then here we are 11 months later, taking my first carry optics win at a local. So I'm pleased with the progress, but I'm not satisfied. Goal is A class by the end of the year, M class by next spring. And I hope that you guys are going to stay along for the journey. Next video, we're going to talk about performance pistol shooting class. It was a skill development course that I just did with Andreas Yankopoulos up in Georgia. Fantastic course. I'm going to do a full course review, share some drills, thoughts on Andreas and what that course entails. I hope that you guys will stick around for that one. And thanks for being here, and appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one.